Boom! Literally minutes ago, Jay-Z released a new statement after his accuser has been exposed. Let me break it all down for you. As you might remember from my previous videos, Beyoncé's husband has been named as a co-defendant alongside Diddy over an alleged crime that took place way back in 2000. A woman claims that she was 13 years old at the time, went to an MTV VMAs after party, and was graped by both Diddy and Jay-Z. Jay-Z immediately responded to being named in the lawsuit, saying that it was a shakedown, it was blackmail, it was extortion, and he was not going to pay up because he was innocent. And it seems like that might be the case. Jay-Z today says, quote, "Today's investigative report proves this attorney, Tony Buzbee, filed a false complaint against me in the pursuit of money and fame. This incident didn't happen, and yet he filed it in court and doubled down in the press. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. This was over before it began. This 1-800 lawyer doesn't realize it yet, but soon." So what report is he talking about? Let me explain. Tony Buzbee, as Jay-Z mentioned in that statement, is the lawyer representing this anonymous Jane Doe. He is the Texas attorney who is filing 120 individual lawsuits against Cassie's ex-boyfriend. This particular suit, filed in New York, is the first time that a co-defendant is named. For some reason, Tony Buzbee thought it would be a good idea for the Jay-Z and Diddy accuser to speak to the media. So this week on Wednesday, she sat down with NBC News, and they are protecting her identity, but they questioned this woman. And in doing so, a lot of big discrepancies came up. It might be game over for her. The first huge red flag for me is we now learn that this young woman, 13 years old at the time, was living in Rochester, New York. Do you know how long it takes to drive from Rochester to New York City, where the VMAs were held that year, where at an after party she alleges that this grape happened? It takes over 5 hours. Look, I just looked it up. 5 hours and 20 minutes. Insane. The woman claims that she snuck out of her house and was driven down to New York by a friend. And here's the craziest part. The VMAs in 2000 were held on a Thursday. The VMAs start around 8 p.m. Eastern time. This girl would have been in school on September the 7th of 2000, a Thursday. She would have had to miss school that entire day. That's something that can easily be verified or debunked. Additionally, her family would have noticed her missing. It's not like she snuck out overnight. She had to have snuck out in the middle or beginning of the day to make it in New York City in time to go watch the VMAs. And here's another bombshell. The guy's dad does not remember picking her up. In her lawsuit, Jane Doe alleges that after the grape incident, she left the house where the after party was at, ran to a gas station, called her father to pick her up. Her dad does not remember picking her up. And did she just wait at that gas station for 4 hours for her father to get there? Something is not adding up. The math ain't mathing, as they say. One of Tony Busby's attorneys gave NBC News the name and birth date of the friend she alleges initially drove her down to New York City because she was 13 at the time and couldn't drive. And it just so happens that that friend, who was 20 at the time, has since died. Okay. Her own father says that he did not learn about all of this until this week, and says about going to pick her up from Rochester to New York City, quote, "I feel like I would remember that, and I don't," says her dad. "I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind." The woman's dad says he does remember once picking her up in the middle of the night, but he said that it was a local drive, meaning in Rochester, New York. Additionally, while being interviewed with NBC News this week, Jay-Z's accuser says that at the after party, when she got there, she started chatting with some celebrities like Fred Durst and Benji Madden. A representative for Benji Madden, however, now says that he and his brother, neither of them attended the 2000 VMAs, and that they were both together in their band Good Charlotte on tour in the Midwest at the time. The woman, according to NBC News, also could not provide any further information about the after party she said she attended. Okay. In a follow-up interview today, after that earlier in this week interview, Jane Doe says the following: "Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me and the route that I took to what happened to me. Not all of the faces there are as clear. So I have made some mistakes. I may have made a mistake in identifying." Also today, the woman responded to her father not remembering picking her up. Jane Doe says that she stands by her claim that her dad picked her up and that it is possible he had misremembered. Jane Doe adds, "There are a lot of things, and this is stuff that we argue about constantly," between her and her father. Something he said or did back in New York around that time period, he just doesn't remember. It actually causes a lot of fights sometimes in the household. The woman now lives in Alabama. Tony Busby also offers this about the dad not remembering picking her up. Quote, "We agree he states he doesn't remember. His daughter explains that he was in no state to remember during that point in time due to personal issues he was having then. We are talking about a time frame more than 20 years ago." Tony Busby, the lawyer, also says now, Jane Doe's case was referred to our firm by another who vetted it prior to sending it to us. Our client remains fiercely adamant that what she has stated is true, to the best of her memory. We will continue to vet her claims and collect corroborating data to the extent it exists. Because we have interrogated her intensely, she has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. I've never had a client suggest that before. In any event, we always do our best to vet each claim made, just as we did in this case. I don't want to say this woman is lying, but she's going to have a tough time winning this lawsuit, I think. What do you think about these latest developments? Does it change your thoughts on Jay-Z? Diddy is guilty AF. We've seen video, okay? We know he's guilty. Maybe not in this one, but about Jay-Z, specifically this. Thoughts? Let me know in the comments section.